Hey, gorgeous! Welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast with Holly Wharton, which combines powerful strategies on how to upgrade your business mindset, along with practical business tips to grow your business. This podcast features solo shows with Holly and also interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. And now, here's your host, Holly Wharton.
Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, episode 150. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with two special guests today. I've got Amanda Slack, who's a former music industry legal PA turned creative and techie VA, specializing in brand and online marketing support for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And we've also got Charlotte Wibberley, who's an online business manager enabling entrepreneurs and business owners to have the freedom to do what they do best and follow their passion. And together, they have created VIP VA, which links high-performing business owners with VAs or virtual assistants. So welcome, Charlotte and Amanda.
Hi, Holly. Hi, lovely to be here.
Hi, Holly.
So why don't we get started a little bit about, you can decide who wants to go first here, telling us a little bit about your background and your business journey and how you got to where you are today working together with VIP VA.
Okay, do you want to start, Charlotte?
Sure. Okay. So thanks, Holly. So I started my first VA business, Blossom Executive Support, back in 2013 after I'd had my first child, my son. And really my driver for that was return to work options weren't quite what I wanted. So I'd been working for years as a PA and project manager in the city, and going back there with a young baby wasn't really appealing. So took the leap and never looked back and started up my own VA business. I ran that for a couple of years before falling pregnant with my daughter, which at the time seemed like a bit of a nightmare because I just won lots of clients and things were going really well. But it actually was the best thing ever because it forced me to practice what I preach really, and to outsource my own clients to fabulous VAs and build it again that way. So my next business, my online business manager company, Charlotte Wibberley, where I kind of support female business owners from a strategic point of view, but in running their teams as well, and helping them kind of manage things at a higher level. That was born really from being off on maternity leave and probably having a bit too much time to think and wanting to follow my own passions. And that's what I was loving doing. So that's kind of really where I got the inspiration for that, and that's where I've arrived at today.
Great, excellent. Could you tell us a little? Hi, sorry. When to hear from your side, Amanda, about what your background is like.
Sure. So I was working in the legal industry, specifically around the music industry for 20 years, and although I loved it, I have always been quite creative and quite technical. Within my employment roles, I was always the go-to person to sort out, boring things like formatting and help my computer's gone wrong and all of those sorts of things. And my role within the legal industry just grew and grew and grew. I loved it. It was really fun. I've had some really amazing times. But when I had my daughter at the age of 40, I did not want to commute anymore. And I really looked for some other options. It was actually my sister who introduced me to the world of VA because she's an entrepreneur in her own right. And I started exploring the options. And basically, I made a decision in February 14 to give up my job by July 14, which I did. And I left with my employer as my first client. And it escalated from there, really. And I have, again, like Charlotte said, I've never looked back.
Excellent.
My business has evolved throughout my journey, because you quickly learn what you love doing and what you don't like doing. And there's no point in running your own business if you end up doing things for clients that you don't love. Mm-hmm. And so my, what's the word I'm looking for? So the tasks that I absolutely love have come to the forefront, and I started not doing very much PA work, but really assisting business owners with their automation, online automation. I'm an Infusionsoft trained VA, so I'm really passionate about helping people automate their business so that they can be in their flow and things are working and running in the back end for them.
Excellent. So before we go on a little bit more, I'm conscious of the fact that it surprises me how many business owners don't know what a VA is. So before we go on, can we get just a quick definition of what is a VA and what is an OBM, so that people who are listening who may not know can understand what we're talking about as we go on with this episode?
Do you want me to take this, Amanda?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so a VA is a virtual assistant, but Amanda and I are currently working on other definitions for the acronym VA, because it's got a little bit of a bad rep in the UK industry. We'll talk about that later. But so virtual assistant. So it could be an administrative professional that's working virtually from home, or it could be someone that's building WordPress websites. The term VA can really mean anyone that's administratively supporting businesses, online businesses usually, but not always, from their own working environment. And they're business owners in their own right. So they don't generally work as employees of companies, they're freelancers. I guess, so an online business manager is the same. So someone that works virtually and supports businesses in that way. The difference between them, I would say, is that a VA is generally task driven. So as a business owner to your VA, you might ask them to book your travel. You might ask them to go and fix something in your Infusionsoft system. Amanda, I know it's much more complex than that. Generalizing here before she kicks me. An OBM would really work with a business owner to map out an online course strategy or what their marketing funnel would look like, or to work with them to manage their team of freelancers. It's at a higher level, probably more proactive, and probably more in the know with the business owner about their vision as a whole. It's working really on the bigger picture rather than the individual tasks.
So it's more strategy driven rather than task driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. Great. So fantastic. So at what point in a person's business do you think they need to start considering hiring either a VA or an OBM? Amanda, do you want to take this one?
Sorry. Yeah. So at what point? I think for any business owner, it can be overwhelming when you first start out, and budget is always not, well, usually budget is not there. So at the beginning, you need to work out what your business strategy is and map out what that looks like. And quite often we have an idea, we jump right into the business, start it up, and start doing what we absolutely love. And then all of a sudden the admin tasks, just build up. It can be really overwhelming. I think it's important that you know your business inside out before you outsource, because to know what to outsource, you have to know how you're going to run it.
And what needs to be done.
I think at the beginning, nobody would really know what they can outsource, but actually you can outsource pretty much anything as long as you've got sort of an operations manual of your business. And those are the things that sort of get pushed to the bottom of the list, because you're doing what you're doing and getting clients and busy creating your own online reputation and that sort of thing. And all the admins, it's important to remember that once you're running your own business, you're wearing all the hats. You are the marketing manager, you are the accountant, you're the bookkeeper, you're the web designer, you're the graphic designer, sometimes you're the strategist, as well as doing the actual thing that you love. So those things sort of get pushed to the side sometimes, and it's overwhelming. So I think the minute you find a task that you don't love, is taking up way too much of your time and taking you out of your flow, those are the things that you should be considering to outsource.
Excellent. And you brought up an operations manual. Now, I think that's something that a lot of solopreneurs might not think they need. So at what point should they start thinking about creating an operations manual?
From the start, actually, it would be really helpful for their own business strategy to have an operations manual, knowing how you're going to operate, what your message is, your brand guidelines, your processes. So your processes for marketing, your processes for onboarding clients, what happens with your how do you nurture your clients, all of those things, if they're documented, you can very easily hand that over to somebody to run certain aspects of your business, knowing that your brand message is not going to be lost along the way.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was just to add to that, Holly. I guess, Andrew, that's absolutely right. From the beginning is the right answer. And not only does it help you to outsource to your first VA, but it also helps with when you undoubtedly will end up transitioning from VA to VA, because I'm yet to meet someone who's only ever worked with one person, one VA, and they've generally worked with a few or are looking for their next one, because by definition, the VAs, they're fluid, they're virtual, they kind of do things their own way because it's their business. So they might be off on maternity leave, or they might change their focus a bit like I've done, change their business, and things move, things are fluid. So when transitioning between VAs, that's such an important piece to have. And certainly back in the day when I was doing that kind of work, if clients came to me and they had an operations manual, I kind of jumped in the air and did a fist pump, because I was like, yes, it's going to be so much easier to hit the ground running with this rather than start again hassling them for stuff.
Excellent.
The other thing, just sorry to interrupt, Holly, the other thing is that it also gives you, as an entrepreneur, a really good start for an exit strategy, because if you wanted to sell your business or take a step back and have somebody take over your business, then everything is there to enable you to do that.
Yeah, I agree. That makes that a lot easier. And I think that's something a lot of business owners don't think about, because they consider themselves to be such an integral part of their businesses. But of course, selling or passing it on to someone is always an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So as you said, lots of people most people tend to work with more than one VA, because of course people move on, people change their focus. And I think I've seen a lot of business owners really, really struggle to find the best person at each stage of their business to work with. And I've had a lot of people make bad hires, waste lots of money not realizing they'd hired the wrong person who just wasn't a good fit for their business. It's not like they were a bad VA, but they just weren't a good fit for this particular business. The person wasn't skilled at managing people. It ended up blowing up in disasters. And I've seen this more than once. So what are your top tips on how people can hire the right VA or OBM for their business and manage this person effectively and know that this person is a good fit and perhaps won't be working with them for time and all eternity, but be the right person for this right stage of their business?
So the thing to remember when you're looking for a VA is a good place to start is a recommendation, but you have to remember that not every business is the same. So somebody who is a great VA for your friend who's running, a coaching business or whatever, and is only outsourcing her technical stuff, and you want someone to inbox manage and run your client management system and things like that, probably is not the right person. So it's important to look at skill sets as well as, and the tasks that you're outsourcing, as well as looking at recommendations.
That's a really good point, because I think there's so many different kinds of things that you can outsource, and you're not necessarily probably going to find one person to do every single thing, are you? Absolutely not. I think that it's important to remember that somebody who's Infusionsoft trained is not going to be running your inbox, and vice versa. It's important to hire the right person for the right role. If you were in an employee situation or an employment situation, you wouldn't hire an administrator to do your marketing, and you wouldn't hire your marketing person to do your IT. So it's really important that you should go to the right people for the specific task that you want them to do.
Can I just add to that as well? That's important. But I think I would encourage all business owners to think about the personality piece as well. Even in employment, a PA relationship with their boss, with their director, or whoever they're supporting is quite a unique one, and it's based on a lot of trust and a lot of confidence. And people share stuff with their PAs that they wouldn't share with anybody else. And it's a bit like that with your VA or your OBM. It's the relationship's got to work as well. So not only should you be asking people about their skills and what they do, but you need to also be considering how they're responding to the questions and whether their personality will be a good fit for you. Because I think sometimes that's where it falls down, in that somebody looks good on paper, but actually when you talk with them, something doesn't quite fit. about their personality and their approach and their values. So that's got to be aligned with your business as well.
I think that's a really good point. I think that's perhaps something that a lot of people don't consider, because especially if you've got this person managing your inbox and being kind of the main contact with your clients before they start working with you, if their energy and their personality and their style isn't aligned with yours, or at least kind of similar to yours, it's going to be a weird disconnect of kind of points of communication within your business for your clients, because they're going to be like, well, I had to talk to this person and she was this way, and then I talked to the business owner and she was that way. It's just a weird kind of connection there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
So what other top tips do you have around finding the right person for your business?
I think you need to make sure that you're asking the right questions. I mean, in the end, it can be a minefield, because, and I feel business owners' pain at the moment, because finding the right VA can be quite hard. There's no, Amanda and I were talking about this earlier, but there's no governing body or anything out there, or standards, official standards that set out what a VA should have or should have in place to run their business and service their clients. So actually anyone can set themselves up with a computer and say, hey, I'm a VA, you should outsource all your stuff, your business stuff to me. And you think about the kind of information that you're handing over to those people. I think about some of the things that I have for my clients, their passports, their credit card details, the back end, their websites, their zero financial accounts, everything. It can be such a minefield. I think you need to ask people about their business setup and what they've got in place. Are they insured? Do they have contracts? How do they work with people? How does the onboarding process take place? Do they have review meetings with their clients? Do they have testimonials they can provide? I think the more questions you can ask, the better. And any VA that's kind of set up and worth their salt will have answers to those questions. So I think people just need to remember that, because it's a bit like putting money on a credit card, isn't it? Because you can't see it, you kind of think, it'll probably be okay. Think about it. And I do think that with the VA industry, it's a little bit like that as well. You kind of think, well, I can't see them. So something in your mind almost thinks that it's not real, and passing those details isn't really passing it over to somebody. I think you just need to be realistic. Your business is one of the most important things that you've got, and it's important. You've taken time to build it up, so you need to be extra vigilant when looking for that person to support you.
And also asking about how they manage data, for people in your business. And in the UK, we've got data protection laws, but every country is different. So if you're working with a VA in another country, they might not be aware of how they need to be handling people's personal information.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we at VIP VA, we champion UK businesses working with UK VAs. And so data protection is one of our prerequisites. None of our VAs in our community will be accepted until they've got data protection cover. It's one of the top things that they need to have for that reason. Exactly.
Excellent. So what kind of mindset do you think entrepreneurs need to be in when they're hiring a VA? Because it takes, as we said, it takes a while to be running your business before you can get to that point where you know what you need to be outsourcing. What mindset do entrepreneurs need to have when they're making this hire?
Yeah, well, it's a tricky one, because nobody thinks that anybody else can do the job just as good as they can. So you have to be willing to let go. But I would say at the beginning, if you are trying to dip your toe in, you should be outsourcing very small amounts and testing the water, because it can be really hard for somebody to let go of that, their baby.
Yeah. However, of course, as you said, a lot of us think that no one else can do it as good as we can. But a VA is someone who is a specialist in these types of admin tasks. And certainly someone who does Infusionsoft is probably going to be way better than the average entrepreneur at Infusionsoft. And, perhaps customer service and things like that. So I think that's also a big shift that entrepreneurs need to make. They're used to doing these tasks. They know how well they can do them, but there are other people who do this all the time and are perhaps more skilled than they are at doing these kind of admin type tasks.
Absolutely. And I think that in terms of mindset, don't they need to have a business growth mindset? So obviously we all bootstrap it in the beginning. When you start your business, you do what you do. You wear all the hats in your business because you're learning and you're building it. But there is a tipping point. It'll be a different point for different people at which you start to become overwhelmed, and running your business takes you away from growing your business. And so at that point, that's where you need to either have already been way ahead of the curve and got someone on board to support you, or you need to start thinking about getting someone on board to support you. Because as Amanda said, the cost up front, people think, oh my God, I can't afford that right now. But you can't afford not to, because by being in that business and running it yourself, you just prevent any business growth. You won't be able to spend any time with your clients or think about the strategy. You need somebody doing all of those admin tasks and supporting you with your marketing and all of that, so that you can actually just focus on creating and doing what you got in business to do in the first place. Otherwise it just stunts the growth. You become the limiting factor in your business.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit more about VIP VA? How does that service work for both entrepreneurs and VAs?
Go for it, Charlotte.
I knew you were going to say it. Okay, so VIP VA really was born from both Amanda and my frustration about trying to get good people on board to support us in our own businesses. So at the time we were looking for associate VAs to come and help us with our ever-growing workload, and we're frequently finding that we were taking on people that either oversold what they could do or didn't have contracts in place, and we were both quite badly let down. And we just said there must be a better way than this. There must be somewhere we can go where we can pick from VAs that actually we know already are top class and value working with their clients and have all the correct business set up in place so that we know that we can outsource safely to them. So that was the kind of initial seed of an idea that we came up with. And
there was wine involved. And, as all the best ideas and start that way. And then we kind of, on the back of that, thought, well, actually, if we as VAs are looking for that, we bet that our clients are looking for that as well. I mean, I've given up counting the number of people that I speak to that say, oh, I've had a really bad experience with a VA. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of turned into a bit more of a mission about trying to change the UK VA industry, really. And it's got a bit of a bad rep. But I guess the nuts and bolts of it is that VIP VA is a membership site for high-performing UK-based VAs, and it's entry into that membership site is by application only. So we rigorously vet our VAs that come on board, but once they're in, they get supported through kind of a series of masterclasses and training and a support group and bits and bobs like that to kind of continue their development. And then on the flip side, we've also got a client matching service, which actually we only launched last week.
Wow, excellent.
Yay. Which then via a job application process links clients with those VAs. So in theory, clients can come to us and we've already done all of the vetting for them, so they can just interview the VAs that we've got in our membership community and hopefully select someone that's going to help them in their business.
Okay, great. So do entrepreneurs just then have access to your database of VAs, or do they come to you and say, look, I need someone to do Infusionsoft, Inbox, this, that, and the other? Who do you recommend? Is this kind of a personal selection service, or do they...
Yes, it's personal. So they submit a job profile which outlines what tasks they're after, what availability perhaps, but also around the kind of personalities and values that the VAs have, and then we select the best match for them from within our directory. It's a totally private directory, so the only people that can see the VAs in there are us and the other members. So then we return their match to them, and they can go and interview them and see how things go from there.
Excellent. And how is this? I know you just launched this last week, but how kind of feedback have you gotten from people? Has it been much more streamlined hiring process than people have experienced before?
People have really loved it. So, as I say, we only launched it last week, but we went through quite a long process of beta testing with clients coming on board, and they really loved, I suppose, the bespoke nature of it, but also the fact that they knew that coming to us, all of the pre-work had been done, that it was a safe environment and they didn't have to worry about whether they were going to be sharing their data with the wrong kind of people or whether the standard was going to be low. They knew that coming to VIP VA, they were going to be getting access to excellent VAs.
Excellent. I like it because it's kind of like a dating service that matches you up with your VA.
Amanda used to say that we were like Match.com, but for VAs.
Exactly.
So VAs and clients.
Matchva.com. And do you also have online business managers in your database that you could help match people up with? Or this time are you just working with VAs?
Well, At the moment, most of our members are traditional VAs, but we are opening up to all of the freelance community, because it's my belief that a VA should not be just a virtual admin assistant. Mm-hmm. They are definitely freelancers in their own right, and we want an array basically of freelance service providers that we can match with our clients. Or a few, if a client comes and says they want a website designer and a marketing person and then a traditional VA, we'd love to be able to match them with 3 people that fit that bill.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So how can other women entrepreneurs who may be listening work with you? I assume entrepreneurs can work with you to help find a VA, and if any VAs are listening, they can also check out your services and sign up for to be kind of part of your database. Tell us a little bit about what that process is like on both sides.
In terms of the process for clients, they can submit a job profile through our website, or actually they can also book a call to speak directly with Amanda or I and talk through what they're after, and we can kind of create the profile for them. They then kind of get access to a private client area on our site where they can keep up to date with how their match is going. Typically, we try and come back to them with a match within 72 hours of accepting their profile. Mm-hmm. But obviously, we'd talk with them if that wasn't going to be possible. And then, as said before, they receive their best match as a profile that they can then accept or take to interview. And that process has been working really well for us, and we don't get involved beyond that. We don't get involved in the hiring process at all, or in the ongoing relationship. That's actually just between the client and the VA that we've got on our books. On the VA side, they come to us and fill in as I say, quite a lengthy application form, at which point Amanda and I review them to check if they've got all of the necessary criteria in place. And we may or may not do some testing on the skills that they have claimed to have. Mm-hmm. At that point, we can then, assuming all goes well, we can then accept them into our community, and they join our directory and our private Facebook community, and then get access to all of our training materials and masterclasses and membership perks.
Excellent. So they've got a whole kind of database of learning that they can use to kind of upgrade their skills, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's early days for us. E-courses are definitely on the horizon as our networking events of VAs. Mm-hmm. At the moment, we've been hosting monthly expert masterclasses with key industry experts that I guess are going to help them with their own VA business development. Mm-hmm. And they get access to the library of that, and also are invited to join those live calls as and when they happen.
Excellent.
I think the other thing to mention is that because we've got the private Facebook group, although there are lots of Facebook groups out there for other virtual assistants, the people that are in them are of every level, and because we've got this private community, and everybody can be secure in the knowledge that all of our members are at the same level of their business. It's a really safe environment for a highly skilled professional to still ask advice and of their peers, and know that there's sort of no judgment, and there's not, everyone's on the same page, if you like.
Excellent. So there's kind of that support group between
absolutely.
The VAs. Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any final words of wisdom for entrepreneurs who might be looking to hire a VA and feeling a bit nervous about making that step?
All I would say is that both Amanda and I really like a chat. So if people just want to phone up, if clients just want to phone up and talk with us, obviously we've got a lot of experience with outsourcing on both sides, because I've got my own VAs as well. So if they just want to talk through what's on their mind, or what they think they can or can't outsource, or just really want to know more about the whole process, then please do get in touch, and we'd be very happy to talk to you about it. Additionally, on our site, if you go to the client side of our website, we do have a free ebook which is all around the key questions, the 7 key questions that you need to ask when you're hiring your VA. So that's a good thing to hop on and get if you get the chance.
Excellent. And where can people find you online?
So we're at www.vipva.co.uk. Mm-hmm. And our Twitter is Charlotte
at VIPVA UK.
Excellent. Are you on any other social networks?
So we're on Facebook as well.
Perfect.
So if you put BIPVA in the search, you'll find us.
Excellent.
Also, we've got a free Facebook group called the VIP VA Hub, and that's free for anybody, any VA to join. So there's a big community going on in there at the moment, and there's a lot of engagement. So if you're looking for another community and you're a virtual assistant, then please come join us.
Great. Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think you've given us a lot of really great tips on how entrepreneurs can either start outsourcing or outsource more of their admin stuff to people who are really skilled at doing it and who love it. Because obviously, if a VA is doing that kind of work, they're probably the kind of person who loves doing those kinds of admin tasks and not the kind of person who hates them, like so many entrepreneurs do. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit hollywharton.com/150 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Business Mindset Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed at hollywharton.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute. Thank you.